So the new Superman movie came out, and before it even came out, people were complaining about it from the trailers. And now the movie's come out, and it's impossible to please anybody with it. And you know what I think about superheroes. It's the old gods and it's idol worship, and I'm not really into superheroes, but maybe that will give me an interesting perspective to you watching, whether you like the superhero stuff or not. And I don't. I have some things to say that I think are probably been said before, because people expound upon the superheroes and movie stuff so much that probably everything's been said. But since you know that I don't really like them, it may be interesting for you watching, whether you do like the superhero movies or not. I'm done with the disclaimers. So the source material for comic book movies is the comic books. So what you have for the history of every single character, whether it's the X-Men, whether it's Marvel or DC, whether it's Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, the Hulk, the Avengers, the Justice League, Wonder Woman, and all this stuff. There's different writers that have different runs in the comic books. So they're like classic stories from the superheroes by different writers and different artists. And the way you draw Superman changes something about his personality, right? The drawing style. And maybe the drawing style will change to suit whatever the story the writer is going to tell. So he wants to be put together with this artist. So you have like Frank Miller Dark Knight version of Batman. You have 1970s Neil Adams Detective Comics version of Batman. And you have, like, whatever they did. Whoever's writing Batman, he changes. Whoever's writing Superman, he changes. So why doesn't that translate to the movies? They're like, the Zack Snyder version of Superman isn't like the Richard Donner version of Superman, and what's that guy? The Bryan Singer version of Superman. He was trying to be like the Richard Donner version of Superman, and then putting all your jokes about Kevin Spacey and all that shit that you want to do. But you're never going to please, you can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. Why aren't the people who are really into the comic book stuff just understanding that there's the James Gunn version of Superman? And who gives a shit, by the way? I don't even like any of these guys. I never liked Batman. Or any of these guys. I don't give a shit about any of it. But I don't understand why there isn't 5 CSI Batman shows where they just, like Tyler Perry, he's worth $1 billion, so he bought some land and he made Tyler Perry Studios so that he can make movies, his crappy movies, low budget movies, and he owns everything. Big companies own the DC stuff. Disney owns Marvel, Warner Brothers owns DC, or however it works, right? So why don't they just make Gotham and Metropolis sets, the main places? It's where Superman works. It's where Batman's mansion and the commissioner's office. And you could do like 5 CSI Batman shows and schedule like you have 5 different shows and everybody's fingers in each other's pies. Oh, look, Batman's going to be on Batgirl's show this week. There's the Commissioner Gordon's perspective. Here's the perspective of Gotham from Batman's villains or whatever. And you can have the Nightwing show. And I don't understand why it hasn't been done already with the streaming. They say that they call it superhero fatigue. And I don't know that people would get tired of this shit because they can't shut up about it. And Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and all these guys have been around for so long that it just seems like a no-brainer why they just don't have like 5 different CSI Batman shows. When they had 5 different CSI shows, people watched them, right? And they went on for years. Some more popular than others, but anything's going to be like that. So you have the Batman show, the Commissioner Gordon show, the Nightwing show, the Batgirl show, the League of Villainy, or whatever they call the bad guys. The Penguin. They do a show called The Penguin. Everybody loved it. And then you just use the same sets because it's the same town. And you have Arkham Asylum show or whatever. You have the Harley Quinn show where she's a doctor, that she's like Sopranos, but she's a psychiatrist of all the villains. I don't understand why they don't do this. And then you have the Superman show, which is in Metropolis. And then you can have crossovers between these things because you have the sets, and people won't get sick of it because it's like a soap opera, basically. Look at professional wrestling. There's nothing to it. It's a bunch of guys, it's a bunch of wrestling retards, and they're going, oh, I don't like what you did to me, and that was a pie in my face, and you kissed my best girl, and then they fight each other, and it's stupid. And there's nothing to it. It's a ring and two guys yelling at each other. That's the set. But if you just did like Warner Brothers streaming Batman show and Superman, it's like this easy to do. And then you can bring Wonder Woman in. Oh, this week Wonder Woman's in Gotham, and next week she's in, and it's the same bitch and everything. It's the same people. And then when you make a movie, that's like a different writer and a different, different writer, different director. It's a different Superman. It's like completely different. You want to do Black Superman, do the Black Superman movie, make it good. But you didn't get his personality right. The personality changes by the drawing style of the artist as well as by the writer. Oh, but I like the characterization of All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison Superman. Let me explain, if you want to keep Superman the same. They're all supposed to be like heroes of virtue. So Batman, maybe people get hurt more, and he's more paranoid because he's not Superman. Superman, you can do it. You can shoot him in the face with an Uzi, and he's like, stop, right? Because he's a sun god, or so he flies into the reactor core and everything like that. Batman's a teenager. Superman, whatever. Who am I talking about? Batman watched his parents murdered in front of him. Superman grew up with a stable family, and they're all basically surrogates for Satan in some way or whatever. I got to bring that into this. One's the Dark Knight, one's a sun god. So this is even reflected in the comic books. So who cares if Superman's parents told him that he should conquer the earth? That definitely came up in the comic books at some point when he met other like villains from Krypton, and they meet Superman, and they're like, why didn't you rule? You should be ruling this planet. And he's like, yeah, it's not really my style. I grew up on a farm. Okay, that's easy. So they're all Boy Scouts, all right, or whatever the stereotype of a Boy Scout is. Yes, sir. No, sir. They want to help you, but you can't kill him. So Batman's paranoid because he's a weirdo. He's raised by a butler. He watches his parents murdered in front of him, and he can be hurt. So he has to wear armor, and he's a big purple bruise or whatever, and he's got to do stuff about money because he owns a weapons company or whatever, and then because he's the military-industrial complex weapons, he's whatever, and then Superman, nothing can hurt him, so he's probably more easygoing because he's supposed to be a hero, even though it's like surrogate for Satan. Did I say that already? He's got serpent on his chest, so Superman would be like a warm and loving and friendly guy because, well, he could die at any moment. The whole, all these people are trying to kill him and make plans to make him drink green blood, kryptonite and all this stuff. So, I don't know, I just would think like if you can shoot a guy with a bazooka and he's like, hey, well, who did that? Then he wouldn't sweat the small stuff, and that's probably a solid characterization thread that you could run through every version of Superman. But then somebody says, well, I want to write the Superman story where it's a bad day and he's just pissed off and he's like, why the hell am I doing this? You can. Not every version of Superman is going to be Christopher Reeves. And I've seen the Christopher Reeves suit. Let's talk about the Superman suits because it's a Superman review. I've seen Howard Stern put on the Christopher Reeve suit. I think he bought it because when Howard Stern used to have a TV show, he put on the Superman suit, the very one that Christopher Reeves wore, and it's just spandex. There's no padding in it. And if you see the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, he's just a guy wearing a skin suit with red underwear and red rubber boots. That's all Reeves. Look at... So that everybody says that's the Superman and everything. It's so iconic or whatever, and the movie's silly and everything. So then you have Henry Cavill's Superman and Bryan Singer's Superman, whoever that guy was. And then you have the new Superman. And these guys work out and they get into shape and they starve themselves so that when they have to have their shirt off, they're dehydrated. They have to time being dehydrated so that they have maximum vascularity. And this is for Marvel or DC. All these guys have to do this, right? No matter who's playing Wolverine or Superman or Batman or Spider-Man or whatever, they all have to, they train so that they can be dehydrated like they're going to a tournament, so that you can see their veins sticking out. And they do all this stuff to work out. Christopher Reeves is just wearing spandex. So when they make the new Superman movies, this sounds kind of gay, but I mean, we're talking about superheroes, which is kind of gay just so as it is. So then these guys work out so hard to have real muscles, and all of them have bigger muscles than Christopher Reeves because he just didn't have the technology of drugs that we have now. So these guys can get jacked. So these guys get jacked to be Superman, all of them. And then they cover it up with a suit with padding, and it looks like he's wearing fish scales and shit like that. And it looks like body armor, and they put, like, you can see that they put rubber padding in every Superman suit. But the guy underneath is ripped, and it just doesn't make it, like, if you see the original Superman that everybody's beholden to because it was the first one or whatever. Yeah, that was just a guy in a spandex suit. And you can see the difference between Christopher Reeves wearing that same piece of spandex and Howard Stern wearing it. Howard Stern is a tall, skinny nerd guy. And then Christopher Reeves was Superman. And I don't know, I just think it's funny that these guys get ripped and they take the drugs and they do all this crazy training and stuff. And they starve them, they dehydrate themselves and everything. And then they cover it up with foam rubber. That's funny. Even Spider-Man did this shit, right? They get in all this fantastic shape to be Spider-Man, and then, you know, they cover it up. He's like, whatever. Same thing with Batman. Why did they do all this with the superhero movies? Because Tim Burton made the Batman movie where he's like, well, let's make it look like armor. So they did. They're like, well, Batman in the gray suit, like Adam West, is silly. They thought, that's the Batman I like. What superhero stuff they're like? The Batman Adam West, because it's funny. Like, they're making fun of it. It's a mockery of all that shit. That's funny. They could do that too. And I don't think people would get sick of any of this stuff. You could have 5 Batman CSI shows and then Superman show, and they could cross over. And then you could still do like a Batman Adam West style 1960s where they get somebody else to make fun of all that shit, and then you could bring other superheroes in and make fun of it. 80s nostalgia, Batman the series, and make fun, whatever. And you're limited only by the studio's creativity, and they don't care about entertaining you. They just want to propagandize to you. So it's just, when J.J. Abrams was directing Star Wars, and before you even saw the first movie, he came out and he said, we're going to make you guys uncomfortable. Yes, your entertainment hates you. The people who make your entertainment don't care what would entertain you. They want to hold your attention, not to the programming that you're being programmed with by what the content of the actual movie is, but by how much time you're willing to spend fighting about it. Because I read this authorship for a New World Order website like way back in 2004, and they said what they wanted for the whole world was the same thing, a series of small-scale conflicts at all levels. So be glad you have the luxury to bitch about Superman and Batman and Iron Man and Spider-Man, because it's all fucking gay, and it's stupid, and it sucked from the beginning, and all it is hero worship. And it's worship of the old gods. And every single one of your stupid fucking superheroes can be traced back to a demon or a fallen angel. What's the story of Superman? He fell out of the sky. They made the Superman story like the Goku story. Yeah, so what? Superman fell to Earth and his parents said you should rule over the planet. They did that in the comic books too. It was called Superman Red Sun. And when Frank Miller did the Dark Knight, you had Superman hanging out with Ronald Reagan. Come on. How many different versions of Paranoid Batman? I remember Kevin Smith did a version of Batman where the first thing that happens is he shits his pants. That's the Batman too. It's the Clerk's version of Batman. He shits his pants and gets boners in the Batsuit, and he's embarrassed to fight with a boner, probably. It's probably in there. And then you have the old Batman and the young Batman, and Batman when his Batman the first year one or whatever it was. So they have all these different versions of things. So I don't understand why people complain about it when it translates to the movies. You have the Zack Snyder version of Batman where you can't tell what the hell you're looking at in the screen because the projectionist makes it too dark because that's the way it is. You have the Joss Whedon or whatever version of Superman where it's all bright colors because he did the Marvel stuff. You have the Bryan Singer X-Men, you have the whoever's doing it next, you have the Deadpool X-Men and the Marks, Professor Marks and Deadpool and all that shit, and LGBT teens or whatever it is, Deadpool and alternative lifestyle teens. It's all, you know what I mean? Those are the best ones. The Deadpool stuff, any of the ones where they make fun of all this shit. I mean, everybody says, the things that I've seen about the superhero stuff over the years is they say it's too funny and too chummy, and they say that they like it, but they don't like it. Oh, here's that Marvel sense of humor again. Here's that James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy superhero stuff, and then do Suicide Squad and do all these things. Yeah, I think it's stupid to keep complaining about it. The thing that people don't like about it is that it's all propaganda for communism, socialism, Marxism. It's all whatever BlackRock tells them they have to do, and then Disney does it, and Warner. They all do the same shit, and they hate the audience, and they say, "Oh, you're a fan? Well, we hate the fans." And then you just keep, well, fine, and they'll keep making shitty movies, and I'll keep complaining about how crappy they are. Okay, go ahead, but. That's a series of small-scale conflicts at all times. Why can't they get it right? They don't want to get it right. Who's they? The movie studios and the executives and the people who have those jobs to make your entertainment. They want you to be uncomfortable. J.J. Abrams told you when he did the first Star Wars movie, and they're never going to stop. They just want it to be uncomfortable. Who cares if it's Kathleen Kennedy or somebody else? They're not going to get the job unless they play ball, and playing ball means they hate the fucking audience, and they want you guys to fight no matter what they make. They provoke people to fight. Nobody gave a shit about Ghostbusters 2016 being girls, but they provoked people. The company that made the movie, who made Ghostbusters with the girls, Girlbusters? I don't care. Whoever made that, it's a known thing that they on purpose fanned the flames to say, "Oh, you like Ghostbusters? Well, fuck you." That was like by design. Like they were like, "That's how we'll get attention. We'll create controversy." They're doing the same thing. And maybe there is superhero fatigue, is how I've heard it stated. But there's that saying about you can catch more flies with honey than Vaseline or whatever. Why do you want to catch flies? Is the first thing. Superheroes are lame. It's stupid. It's like knowing the stats of athletes. Oh, I know all the things on the back of a baseball. That's stupid. Why do you want to know all these details about a man that runs around or throws a ball or hits it with a stick or bounces a ball in the court? It's gay. It's kind of gay. Whatever's not true about Freud, all the stuff about the guys and superheroes and sports and homo shit, all that Freud stuff's true. So they suck. Batman is the Dark Knight. What does he look like? He looks like a demon, okay? And he's a weirdo, and he's a leather daddy, and he's Tom's of Finland, and it's gay. And Spider-Man, who gives a shit? The spider and the fly. You're the fly, okay? Spider-Man looks like a villain. Just saying. He looks like somebody that one of the other superheroes fights. And that's why you like Batman, because he looks like a villain. Because he doesn't look like a lame guy in a red spandex suit. he's in the night. It's stupid. So I don't think people will get sick of this stuff. I think maybe you get sick of the MCU because there's all these characters to juggle and all this stuff, and Thor's kind of boring, but he's actually is one of the gods. Like they disguise all these characters. Like Flash is Mercury, the messenger of the gods, or whoever else he is. He's based on the old, like, Greek gods. Like they're based on Greek gods. Like whatever. So it's all just like when you have cold cast resin of your Marvel or DC characters, that's literal idolatry, like in the Bible, that God said don't do. Okay, He said, "Don't thou shalt bow down to nothing. You shall have no idols of things made of wood, stone, or clay, or whatever." But when you have like $300 cold cast resin busts of Batman and Super Friends and all this shit, or X-Men, you're putting a value on them and they're idols. You can say, oh, they're icons. Yeah, but like if you spent like $300 or on a Captain America shield, that's your, you know, should it really matter to you that much? Is that really what America's about? I don't know. I guess so. I mean, for better or worse, it is about all that shit. And what a luxury to be able to complain about superheroes when they spend millions of dollars to entertain you. And again, if you don't know the meaning of the word entertainment, it's to amuse or divert, to teneer, to hold or distract. So by its nature, it's a diversion. It's to hold. Look up the definition of what entertainment is, and it's very transparent. I just told it to you. It's ingrained in my brain. It's memorized. To amuse or divert, to teneer, to hold, or to distract. It's a distraction away from whatever they're doing. So a Superman movie, without saying, they said it without saying it. Superman gets involved in the Ukraine and Palestine and Israel stuff, and he's like a fish out of water. He's innocent and naive and doesn't understand. Yeah, like you watching. So you'll fight about Superman, and meanwhile people are dying. And you know, the Ukrainians just wanted to stay home. Maybe you're sick of money going over there to them or whatever, but isn't that where they're gonna make, like, there's all the lithium and their fertile soil, and that's all mined, that's like rich in resources that they want to use so that you stay on your phone, right? Some shit like that. They want to build a world of brain over there with that land or whatever. I don't know. So the superheroes are the old gods. They're lame. It doesn't make sense why they don't already have like 5 CSI Batman shows. And same thing with the X-Men. They could just, you know what I mean? Like, you just build the sets and it just becomes a soap opera. I mean, wrestling is like less expensive. And those guys actually do, they're wearing spandex and they're fighting each other, and it's kind of gay. Why have to spend so much money? I remember being a kid, and they had a wrestling ring where there was a guy dressed up as Spider-Man. There was a guy painted green like the Hulk with purple bell bottoms on that were cut off. There was a guy dressed like Superman and somebody else, I can't remember who it was. And they all fought each other inside a wrestling room inside the agricultural hall at, like, it wasn't even a comic book convention, because I don't know if they had those when I was growing up. But it was just, I was a little kid and they took me to see. I was like, wow, the Hulk's fighting Spider-Man, and the makeup was coming off on the costumes, and then Superman got involved and they were all fighting each other. And I'm forgetting one guy. And they're not even part of the same comic book universe, but it didn't matter back then. It was all good. They were just fighting each other in a wrestling ring. Like it was dumb. But it was really thrilling for me, as a child, because that's who this shit's for. They never did the Incredible Hulk right. Isn't the Incredible Hulk made for children? He gets angry and he has a tantrum. That's the Hulk, right? He's a scientist and he had to have his sensitivity. Nobody gives a shit about any of that. They had an Incredible Hulk TV show. It was probably on for 3 or 4 years or something. And they nailed it. He says, don't piss me off, because you won't like it when you piss me off and you can't possibly win. So he gets mad and he turns into Lou Ferrigno and he breaks shit. For kids. That's the kid having a tantrum. That's the whole mystique behind the Hulk. Instead, what do? They give you She-Hulk, Harvey Birdman, attorney at law stuff, and it's a bit like, if you're gonna do a show about Lady Hulk, She-Hulk, whatever it's called, then it's like she gets pissed off and she has a tantrum and she breaks shit, but it's a comedy. They can't get it right. It's not really. It's to get you to fight with each other about all this shit, in my opinion. They don't want to make any version of any of the things that you would like. And whoever gets put in charge of it, probably, if they're not part of some kind of weird, dick wagging club where they gotta beat each other off or in a coffin or whatever they have to do. It's just another writer's version of the story. So if you like Superman, who the hell are you to say that that's not Superman? Because since Siegel and Schuster invented him like in the 1920s or whenever Superman was invented, it's been a chain of people writing them. People remember the stuff that was good and that has staying power, and it gets reprinted. And people forget about the stuff that sucks unless you make a YouTube video saying, look, here's a version of Superman where they put him in a dollhouse and he had to have his diaper changed and he was humiliated by a little girl because they did that. And I saw a version of Batman where he had like a rainbow costume on, and that wasn't even LGBTQ. That was just like, well, we need a Batman story for this month, and it was for children, so they put him in a rainbow costume or something. It's stupid. Batman fought a Superman, Spider-Man, whatever. At some point they all fought a werewolf. Superman fought Muhammad Ali. Batman probably teamed up with Hulk Hogan at some point. It's shit. It's all shit. So a long time ago someone said, could they really make a superhero movie that would actually mean something more? And my answer is no, they can't. Because when you see Superman portrayed like Jesus or like Moses in a raft on the river, people bitch about it. They're like, it's too serious. We want it to be corny and lame, like Christopher Reeve's Superman, which really would be more in my wheelhouse. I would watch that Superman movie to laugh. I'd watch Superman with Richard Pryor, Superman 4, where he fights Nuclear Man, or Nuclear Man if you prefer. That would be the one, because they're corny. Like Adam West Batman, because it's a joke and a mockery. You know what my favorite superhero stuff is? When they mock the old gods, because I hate them. Because they're all just surrogates for Satan in some way or another. Dark Knight, Sun God Superman, Spider-Man, the evil arachnid who does the Devil's Curse, which is Spider-Man's gang signs. He shoots goo at you, and he does the Devil's Curse, like Jack Black doing. Jack Black is Spider-Man. That's my favorite version of Spider-Man, mocking those things. Remember that from the MTV Music Awards? Go look up Jack Black's Spider-Man, and he jizzes on a soda can, and it's funny, and he's a slob, and he does a fliggle wriggle gling gling gling, and he burps and he farts and he comes and he shoots jizz. That's funny. Adam West as Superman, Batman. Adam West as Superman, that'd be great. Steve Reeves, didn't he play Superman? Yeah, he died. He was made pornos and he was gay, and what's that guy? He did reach around and gay porns, whatever. You see, was it Autofocus? Where they did this, Ben Affleck played Superman, having William Dafoe stick his finger up his asshole. Did you see that? That's great. That's great. Don't watch it. So, yeah, and and what are the ones that a casual moviegoer say that they like out of the superhero stuff? They'll say it's Thor Ragnarok, any one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, the Suicide Squad, and Deadpool. Why? Because in some way they're making fun of all that stuff. It's a joke. That's why they like those things. So, but it was a good grim and gritty Batman. Tim Burton didn't even give you a grim and gritty Batman. It was stupid. Go watch the Batman wasn't Michael Keaton a good Batman? Who gives a shit? He's a weirdo. Christian Bale, American Psycho. That's probably the best version of Batman, because if you connect American Psycho's personality with Bruce Wayne, a rich guy that dresses up like a leather daddy and he punches guy, they let him out of Arkham Asylum so he could beat him up, and he makes weapons for the military industrial complex, and he tests them on the guys they let out of Arkham. That's probably an accurate characterization of Batman. Let him yell at whoever he wants on this set. Batman's an asshole. James Bond goes out there and he screws women, and they're called Pussy Galore and Octopussy and all this shit. And that's a romp. And then Batman's a weirdo, and he's intense, and he's psychotic. Let Nick Cage Batman. Let's do it. Let it rip. Let's see. Let him play everybody, and let him scream when he gets. Let him be pissed off. Nick Cage Joker. Go for it. Old Batman played by Nick Cage. Do that. It's a joke. It's stupid. Nick Cage Spider-Man. Fuck it. Who cares? It's shit. Nick Cage the Hulk. There you go. That's perfect. Nicolas Cage is Bruce Banner. Nick Cage named himself after Luke Cage. Wasn't Luke Cage a guy that banged bracelets together like Wonder Woman or something? Whatever. It's dumb. And yeah, they're never gonna get it right. So, don't watch professional wrestling. It's the same shit, and they don't have to spend money on it. And it's just like more. And it's obviously openly written by gay guys or something, right? Like, isn't it a known thing that guys are like, yeah, it's like, it's a soap opera for men. Like, right? Isn't wrestling a soap opera for men? But in the movies, they're like, couldn't it be something more? Like, the X-Men is a metaphor for alternative lifestyle choices and how you're rejected by your parents. Who gives a shit? Different runs of different books are the John Buscema Punisher run, or everybody likes Chris Claremont's X-Men. Yeah, then if they wanted to give you something you like, they'd just pick from the comic books the things that you like, but they don't. They wreck it because we're not really in a entertaining you to give you stuff you like phase. We're in an entertaining you to piss you off phase, so you complain about it. They want people to complain about it. They fan the flames before the movie comes out so that you'll fight about David Hornswoggle's Superman. Who gives a shit? James Bond and Harrison Ford and all that, they're assholes. Oh, the best James Bond is Jackie Gleason. What's his name? Not Jackie Gleason. He's the great one. You can suck my left one. Sean Connery is James Bond. Did you ever see that Barbara Walters interviews where he talks about how he slaps his wife around? Well, sometimes you just gotta, give her a little rap. That's Sean Connery. And then what happens to him? He gets punchy at the end of his life. Rest in peace. Hope he got into heaven. Whatever the devil wants, I'm gonna take it away from him. So, yeah, and who's the best Harrison Ford character? Who gives a shit? He's an asshole. Indiana Jones is a jerk. He had 2 good Indiana Jones movies, and they ruined it on the 3rd one. Oh, I love The Last Crusade. It's got James Bond. It's got Sean Connery in it. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Indiana Jones is a cool guy, and then he's hanging out with his dad, and his dad's admonishing him, and they both bang the same chick. That's great. It's lame. He's Han Solo. Yeah, the guy's like barely into Star Wars. How much runtime? Han Solo was in Star Wars longer. The longest time that Han Solo was on screen in any Star Wars movies when he's walking the plank so his son can stab him, and you knew it was coming. That's the most runtime that Han Solo had consistently in a Star Wars movie, isn't it? Walking the plank to get killed. Anyway, it's all shit. Your pop culture's a lie, and it doesn't even care about entertaining you anymore. It just wants to piss you off. So, I understand, like, I don't know who watches these. It's gonna be like 12 people. Fine. But I hope you like my opinions on all this stuff. But, like, I understand somebody saying, well, people love hearing me complain about superheroes. I have 1 million, like Nerdronic. He has 1 million subscribers, and all he does is complain about movies every week, and he's probably tired of it by now. But, like, I would rather stay home and bitch about movies than have some shit day job. You know what I mean? Don't you want to just stay home and complain about shit on the computer, and you can have the whole rest of your day to fuck off and do whatever you want, and you make all this money on getting the hits, and you can still be a badass dude because you're complaining about everything, and you can spend money on your toy room. Look, I don't have any toys. I didn't have one Pokemon behind me. Maybe I should get a Batman light, except that it's lame. I don't want that shit. If I had a Batman light, I would smash it on you for fun. I was like, look, you like that Superman? Like the Captain America shield? Where's my sledgehammer? We're gonna get Mjolnir and we're gonna break the Captain America. We're gonna break the $350 Captain America shield because I know it'll be cathartic for you to read. Because we're gonna melt down $3,000 worth of Funko Pops of all the Avengers. We're gonna run over them with the car. I've seen guys do this. We're gonna buy a case of 50-cent each roast Ticos and we're gonna melt them with a heat gun. Yay! Red Letter Media did it first. They did the Nerd Crew and they would trash all the stuff. They bought a fish tank full of Star Wars figures and they melted them in acetate. That sums it all up. They did that video years ago. I'm basically just doing the same thing that they did first. When Red Letter Media takes all your classic 1980s Star Wars figures and puts them in a fish tank so that you can see them melting, even though it was very kind of not really interesting to watch. Go watch the Red Letter Media George Foreskin grill. That's funny. But anyway, they said it a long time ago. They saw the writing on the wall when they were going to make the new Star Wars shit, and they're like, fuck it, let's melt it all down. And then they do that all the time. Here's all these collectibles, and they break them, and they have fits, and they spaz out, and they shoot a leaf blower at Darth Vader's head, and they melt shit down and everything. That's funny, because it's shit. It's crap. Open up the Star Trek cube playset thing and break it. It's lame. You want to get the hits, make some money destroying your collection of cold cast resins. Like I have a horror room and I have all those famous serial killers from the 1980s from your movies. Freddy Krueger, Jason, Chucky, Old Pumpkinhead, Michael Myers, and all these faggots. And then just break it all. Like break all the shit with a psycho knife or whatever, and just let your pop culture die. It's dumb. Oh, look at all this wrestling figures, and I have the collection. I have the belt. I paid $250 for the John Cena spinner belt. Smash it with a fucking hammer and laugh and cackle. Anyway, it's crap. But, you know, like, maybe don't break any of your shit if you have all these collectibles and stuff. It'd probably be better if you sell it to somebody who puts a value on it. I don't know if that's healthy. But, you know, like, put it on eBay or something and then do something useful with the money. Like, you know, like, plant an edible perennial, like a fruit tree or some shit like that. Or something you can get some chickens. Get free-range chickens or whatever. And read a book. Get offline. I don't know, what do you need? Like, it's hard, people having a hard time to get by. If you can sell your collection, it seems to be, I remember when we went in the lockdowns and I got rid of a bunch of stuff and people were buying collectibles and stuff. They were locked up. Nobody knew what was going to happen in the world, and they were buying toys. And there's videos on this. You can go back in time and prove it. Like, yes, like the value of things went up. Oh, the world's going to end? Look at the value of the Marvel Legends, Avengers. I have the whole original lineup of Avengers 6-inch baby dick toys or whatever you want to call. I hate this shit. Anyway, get a heat gun. Be careful because you can hurt yourself with those things. They're dangerous. I don't know who you are. If you're really into superhero shit, maybe you shouldn't be allowed to handle a heat gun. Star Wars toys, put them on firecrackers and bottle rockets them. That'd be cool. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Funko Pops? You're gonna be living in a Funko Pop shanty town. Maybe you better save those. They're like, you can build a bum house with them. Tape it together with duct tape. Look at my Funko Pop mansion. And then somebody's pissing on top of your house. Put a tarp over it. Find the Funko Pop landfill that they spent $30 million one year. $30 million just to throw away Funko Pop stuff. That it was more profitable for them to spend $30 million to throw Funko Pops and make a landfill out of them than it was keep the inventory housed inside of a warehouse or multiple warehouses or whatever. So this is a true story. Funko Pop spent $30 million to throw Funko Pops away. Go find them, and then they're probably not worth shit. And Funko Pop's still worth anything? They're ugly fetal abortions. They have no mouths. Why? Why do you like them? They're not even really bobbleheads. I know what real bobbleheads look like. They don't even, what the hell are they? And they're ugly. Oh, but they have every IP of every franchise, and you could have all your favorite characters from, you know, The Office next to Star Wars, and Star Wars next to Avengers, and the Golden Girls, and they all look like fetal abortions. They're like fetal Funko abortion pops, whatever. They're all stillborn, and they're fucking dumb. And there's a buyback store where I live, and they have like, it really is kind of like a little Lego town out of Funko Pop section. There's so many of them, and the thing about it is, when I go there, it's when I go into this city. When I go there, there's always people looking at them. I don't know if anybody's buying them, but people are looking at them. And it really is. They have like a couple rows of them, and then there's like a wall, and they have them stacked so it looks like the top of a castle. You know what I mean? Like the top of the castle. They have them stacked like that, and then people are always looking at them. Grown-ups. You know, sometimes there's kids there with them, I think. What the hell? Like, why? Wouldn't it make sense if you were gonna, like, instead of bobbleheads, why don't they just make little bubblegum figures? Like, why isn't somebody corner the market on that? It's like, we made bubblegum figures, like little army men figures from like every franchise toy line of everything ever. And go back into old TV. Look, we have every single Quentin Tarantino's 1990s pulp figure. We got Jules and Vincent Vega and Uma Thurman without shoes on, and they're like little army men. But that's like takes up less space. You can collect them all. Look, I have talk about getting every figure from Star Wars and Star Trek. When they're like this big, as big as a Chinese micro pee-pee, that's the way to go, right? A little 1-incher. You could do everything. Oh, look, we have every character from The Office. We have the guy that was in the one episode that took a shit. And it just takes up less space, and you can put them all in a bin. Oh, look what I found. What show's this from, Grandpa? I don't know. I think that's Charles Durning from Dune. Whatever. It's all shit. That's it. I think I've shot my wad. I could keep going hating on shit forever. I mean, people have their channels predicated on this, complaining about how pop culture doesn't live up to what it used to. Used to love this shit. I always looked at it crooked. Superheroes suck. Deadpool's just Spider-Man. Look at Deadpool. I remember when Deadpool was invented, my friends were comic book guys. So when Deadpool was invented, they thought that was a terrible character design because they're like, it's just Spider-Man. It's just Spider-Man, but instead of being a red and blue costume, it was black and red. And it was a cursing, bloody Spider-Man. And that's what Deadpool is, still. And they love it. And that's the only... I don't like Ryan Reynolds. The Too Cool to Care guy, he's lame. But the Deadpool, those movies are like out of superhero ones. I've seen, I would watch one of those again. Any one of the three of them. They're funny. Actually, the second two are better than the first one, in my opinion. The one with Wolverine's probably the best one. When it gets to the part where they start singing Like a Prayer, I just turn the volume down. So, you should stop watching movies, I guess, would be my honest opinion about that. And I'm sorry I said fuck to you so many times. I'm trying not to be so vulgar, but, it's superhero shit. What else can I bitch about? Oh, did you see The Rock played Shazam? Yeah, who gives a shit? Might as well stick with the ones that people like and just give it to them over and over again. Because I kind of think that people won't get sick of it. They don't want to make it entertaining. That's why you don't like it. except for people that love it. I think people are desperate and they're willing to latch on to anything. We're like, well, I know they're not going to ever give me what I want to see out of the superhero movies, even though they know from all the market research and what people just outright tell you that they want, that they could make the superhero movie that would be a real crowd pleaser and everybody would love it. But instead, they'd rather piss you off and then lie about it and say, oh, everybody loved it, and then the audience is like, yeah, but it sucked and we didn't love it. Like what they did with Captain Marvel. They told you how much everybody loved it, and then, you know, there's world-class bullshitters that has their channel predicated on going to Ollie's, letting you know what movies people don't like by showing you how the merch winds up there and nobody buys the merch. Hey, look, here's my 15th video on Shang-Chi sucks, because nobody watched Marvel's Shang-Chi. Here, Captain Marvel's Bob Funko Pop head is still here. What talk about abortions? And never look. Here's this lightsaber kits. Nobody cares about Rey's lightsaber. It's still here. Build a lightsaber kit. You know, they can't. Like 50 cents. They're still there. They're using them to hold up. They're using them to plug cracks in the ceiling at Ollie's. They're like, why? We don't need to spend money on repairs. Just put Disney merch up and to plug the holes. They know how to make the movies that you would like. They don't want to give them to you. It's like on purpose. It's like BlackRock said. It doesn't matter what they want. Keep giving them what they don't like and don't stop. And make sure that the audience knows that we hate them. Make sure the audience knows that the studio hates them and that they're worthless and that you're scum. And then tell everybody that they love it. That's what they're doing. Like, this has been going on for so long. And then South Park pipes up and complain, Kathleen Kennedy, make it a chick, make it lame, make it gay. Fuck South Park. Everybody's been complaining about it for like the last 16 years. Since the first Star Wars Rey movie came out. Or even before then, when they killed Wolverine, they made him oh, you kids crossed the border. I'm dying of adamantium poisoning. I'm just going to stay. I think I'm going to stay home. And you kids crossed the border. I'm going to sleep in. That's bullshit. Anyway, it's all shit. That's it. There's nothing else to say. I'm done.